A circle with radius r lies only in the first quadrant and it touches the x and the y axes. Right, so let's try and picture what that means. So lying only in the first quadrant means it's only in this part of the graph here. It's not in any of these other ones. It's only in the first quadrant. Now, touching the x and the y axis means it's going to look something. It's going to be touching the y axis there. It's going to be touching the x axis there. So, if it's touching here, and that's the radius, and it's touching here, and that's the radius, then the centre of the circle has got the coordinate r. Which means that we can write down the equation of this circle as x minus r all squared plus y minus r all squared equals r squared. Right, let's carry on reading. We're told that the line L has the equation 2x plus y is equal to 12. And we're talking about the intersections. So we're thinking about simultaneous equations. So, to do simultaneous equations, I'm going to make y the subject. I'm going to say y equals 12 minus 2x. Now I could substitute this in instead of the y here, but that would leave me with 12 minus 2x minus r inside that squared bracket. So I'd end up with 3 terms on the inside there, which I don't like to do. So I'm actually going to expand these brackets first and then substitute in. So that's me expanding those brackets. Then I notice I've got an r squared that I can subtract from both sides just to make things a little bit easier. And right, yes, let's now substitute instead of the y's. So the x terms will stay the same. The y is 12 minus 2x. Right, let's expand those brackets. We've got the 12 squared, which is 144. We've got the 12 times minus 2x, which is minus 24x. But there's 2 of them, so minus 48x. And then we've got the minus 2x squared, so minus 2x times minus 2x is plus 4x squared. We've then got the minus 2r times 12, which will be minus 24r. And then we've got the minus 2r times the minus 2x, which will be positive 4rx. Right, collecting up the like terms then. We've got an x squared here, and we've got a 4x squared there, so that's 5x squared. In terms of the x terms, I've got a minus 2r, a minus 48, and I've got a plus 4r. So the minus 2r and the plus 4r will give plus 2r, and the minus 48 is there. And then the other terms, we've got the r squared, the minus 24r, and the 144. The last thing I'm going to do here is factorise out x from that middle term so it looks exactly how the question wants. So that's part A of this question done. We're then told that L is a tangent, which means it touches the circle in one place, which means that this equation would have one repeated solution, which means that its discriminant is equal to 0. So the A is 5, the B is the 2r minus 48, and the C is the r squared minus 24r plus 144. So B squared minus 4 times A times C is equal to 0. Right, expanding out these brackets. We've got the 2r times 2r is 4r squared. We've got the 2r times the minus 48, which is minus 96r, but then there's two of those, so that's minus 192r. And then finally we've got the minus 48 squared, which gives 2,304. We've then got the minus 20 times r squared, the minus 20 times minus 24r. So the two negatives will make a positive. The 20 times 24 is 480. And then we've got the minus 20 times the 144. Right, collecting up like terms. The r squared minus the 20r squared is minus 16r squared. The minus 192r. I forgot to put my r in there. Plus the 480r is 288r. And then we've got the 2,304 minus the 2,880, which gives minus 576. Now we can solve this quadratic equation. Let's get rid of the negative first of all by dividing each term by minus 1. And then I think each of those terms can be divided by 16 288 divided by 16 is 18. The 576 divided by 16 is 36. And now we can solve that quadratic equation. So, using the quadratic formula, or you could do completing the square, but our two answers are either 9 plus 3 root 5 or 9 minus 3 root 5.